watching HuffPost Live. I'm Zach Carter, and here to discuss tonight's State of the Union address is Senator Elizabeth Warren from Massachusetts. Senator, thanks so much for joining us.
I'm delighted to be here.
So by all accounts, the speech tonight is going to be all about inequality, economic inequality, income inequality. I think it's somewhat counterintuitive to particularly Democratic voters that President Obama has seen a greater increase in economic inequality than prior presidents, President George W. Bush, President Bill Clinton. What's driving that?
Oh, come on. The financial crisis in 2008, when everything just fell apart and we really lost the whole economy. And President Obama has been trying to pull out of that throughout his terms, into his second term now. And he has not only had to fight the economic forces that pulled the economy down and fight the financial services industry, for example, that still wants its way going forward, but he's had to fight all the Republicans who have done everything they can to throw sand in the gears to make sure that this economy does not get moving again, that ordinary families, that America's middle class, that working families aren't really getting back on their feet and getting a shot.
But by all accounts, we're going to hear at least some strong pitch from the president tonight to really, to go after the minimum wage, to raise the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour. It's a significant increase. But can we really talk about serious? I mean, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Chase, just got a raise after billions and billions of dollars of fines, probably the most fines that have ever been levied against a financial institution in history. Yeah, sure. But can we really have a serious discussion about income inequality without talking about too big to fail?
Look, all the pieces fit together. This was part of my point about the crash. That income inequality is not something that happened overnight. It's happened because of a lot of forces that have been pushing in the same direction. So what do you do when that's the case? Well, you fight them off as best you can, where you can. I think that if the president starts tonight on minimum wage and goes strong on minimum wage, I'm 100% with it. I think that is a terrific thing to do. Let's remember on minimum wage, it's a powerful issue around a fundamental question. If you work full-time, should you still be in poverty? My view on that is no. This is an issue that particularly hits women hard. 2 out of every 3 minimum wage workers is a woman. This hits families. We could lift millions of families out of poverty by passing a better minimum wage.
And the president has the ability to actually just unilaterally increase this for people who are currently working for government contractors, and he's chosen not to do that.
Well,
is it a problem if he doesn't mention that tonight?
I hope that's what he'll do tonight. The president said, or it has already signaled, that he's going to talk about the things he can do, as well as the things he can do by himself, as well as the things he can do in conjunction with the Congress. I want to see him do both. I want to see him do what he can, but I also want to see him push the Congress to pass minimum wage. Come on, minimum wage, it's the least we can do.
I mean, even most registered Republicans support a minimum wage increase. This seems like a reasonable thing to do. But more controversial topics, I mean, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The president has been negotiating this, or his administration has been for several years now. By all accounts, he's going to make a significant push on that again tonight. But is this, you've been a critic of the secrecy surrounding these talks. Is the TPP, or at least what we know so far, consistent with an agenda aimed at alleviating income inequality?
Well, you said the key part of what we know of it. That's the whole point. I mean, right now, we really are hung on a transparency issue. I started in a year ago, and I opposed seeing Michael Froman confirmed to be our trade representative precisely because he would not make a commitment to be more transparent about the process. But let me just be clear on this, why this is so important. This isn't just process for process's sake. But we negotiated a trade deal profoundly affects us here at home. It affects everything we compete with. It's going to affect jobs. It affects the environment. It affects the internet. It affects things that touch every part of our daily lives. And keep in mind, if we negotiate a treaty and that treaty is ratified by the United States Senate, it overrides domestic law. And so
that means that corporations can challenge domestic laws in international courts.
That means they can actually change American domestic law through treaty. The treaty potentially overrides here. And that means that there is such an opportunity for every group that wants to see American law weakened or changed to get it into a trade deal and hope that in the let's ram this trade deal through, something gets changed that benefits them. That means it is powerfully important for us, everyone, the public, to understand what's in those trade deals and to understand in advance what are the principal issues that are being negotiated. Because here's the deal. You have to ask yourselves, if they won't even tell you, release the bracketed text, so there are brackets on parts that haven't been resolved, but release the bracketed text. If they won't even tell you that, why is it? Because if they're so worried that if the American people knew what was being negotiated, that there would be an uprising saying, that can't be law, then maybe it shouldn't be law.
I mean, but don't you think it's a little bit weird that the president would ask? I mean, he hasn't asked yet, so it's an open question whether he will or not. But doesn't it strike you as a little strange that the president is heavily rumored to be asking that Congress pass this deal before the terms are even disclosed to members of Congress, much less the public?
Like I said, I've made my position clear on this, and this is what I'm going to stay strong on. We have got to have more transparency about what the pieces are during negotiation. You can't just spring this on everyone and say, surprise, now pass it.
All right, well,
That's not how this is going to go.
Let's talk about student lending, another major issue that you've been involved in. You've backed a proposal to allow students who are just saddled with mountains of debt at high interest rates to refinance their student loans at newer, lower interest rates, take advantage of the Fed's quantitative easing programs, things like that. Have you heard anything from the White House on this proposal?
So I have talked with Arnie Duncan, our Secretary of Education, and with some people within the White House at some length about a range of issues here, because this really is a range of issues, and I get this. It's partly about the rising costs of college. It's about whether or not students who go to college can actually get an education in 2 years or 4 years, depending on what kind of institution, as promised, whether or not that education is then valuable to them, how much debt they have to incur in order to do that, and what to do about the student loan debt that's outstanding. It's all those pieces, and we need to attack all of those pieces. They take different parts to be able to work on them. And it's an ongoing conversation, and I am very pleased to have conversations with anybody around this, because this one is so urgent. Right now, just focusing on the student loan part of this, the Federal Reserve issued a report recently talking about how student loan debt is keeping people from buying homes. It's keeping people from buying cars. It's potentially creating a drag on the economy. We started this whole conversation about income inequality. Understand that every one of these economic issues keeps pressing on income inequality. It prevents this economy from moving forward. It prevents people from getting better jobs. It prevents people from going out and starting their own small businesses, from taking chances, because they are so crushed by these student loan debts. If we could refinance, that's just a foot in the door, refinance and bring the cost of that debt down, if we could get some more debt forgiveness into our overall system, if we could actually spend money supporting people who are trying to get an education instead of large industries that make billions of dollars in profits every year, if we could do those things, we give people a fighting chance. We give them a level playing field. We give them a chance to get up and get this economy going and get their lives going.
Well, let's talk about the Department of Education there, because there are some rumors that the Department of Education is worried about what it would cost to implement this type of refinancing program, and that if you actually created a program like this, it would then put Pell Grants at risk, which are a really important tool for, speaking of income inequality, do you feel like the administration needs to come up with some way to pay for this, or do you feel like they should just be able to implement this program?
Of course we need to talk about how we're going to pay for it. But the answer is not to take it from other students. Let's keep in mind in this system, right now the student loan program is projected to make $185 billion in profits over the next 10 years. That's profits off the backs of our students. That's net of the student loan losses. That's net of the administrative costs. Profits.
This is in part because interest rates are so low right now, so they can borrow.
That's exactly right. And they're lending still. Look at, there's students out there and former students who have loans at much, much higher interest rates. many multiples of what the current interest rate is right now. And so the whole point behind this is to say, when you talk about we have to pay for it, no, what we have to do is decide that we are not going to make the profits off the backs of our students. And if we have to find a way to plug a hole in the budget, then I get this. We have to find other ways to bring in revenues. Then now it's time to start talking about this for that. Why is it that we continue to subsidize the oil industry? Made billions of dollars in profits last year, and yet sucked down billions of dollars in subsidies from the U.S. taxpayer. Companies that ship jobs overseas, billionaires who pay to lower tax rates than their secretaries. But my point really is, right now, we are asking people who tried to get an education to subsidize those companies, to subsidize those billionaires, to pay their share of the tax bill. Why? Because they got out there and borrowed money to try to go to school. That doesn't reflect the values of the American people. So we're going to have a tough conversation. And that is, who is it we should be subsidizing as a country? Should we be encouraging people who are trying to get an education? Should we say that that's a good thing and that's what we want to do? Or is it those who can hire armies of lobbyists, armies of lawyers to explain why they should hang on to their billions of dollars in subsidies? I think that's the debate that's coming in this country.
Well, before you go, I know you're a busy woman, so we do one more thing. Our producers have found a GIF. Some people pronounce this GIF. I think that is the wrong pronunciation. But it's a GIF of you before, I believe it's the House of Representatives, back when you were the Honorable Elizabeth Warren rather than Senator Elizabeth Warren. And some rando from the House had just called you a liar. And I just kind of want to get your reaction to your GIF there. Yes. You look a little taken aback.
I was a little taken aback.
Do you feel like Washington has changed any since then? Do you still get treated like this now that you have the gravitas of a senator?
Maybe what has changed is I'm not as shocked. But I will say this. I actually like being here. I like being here.
Weird.
No, I do. I'll tell you why. No, it's not weird. I'll tell you why. I like being here to fight for what I believe in. And on this question about college funds, for example, you bet. It's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a really, really tough fight. But it's the fight we need to have. And I'm right where I want to be. And that is where I've got a chance to fight for what I believe in.
Well, I think Washington's kind of lame, but you're free to have your own opinion. And enjoy being here. If you think, take that, Boston, you're a worse city than D.C. according to Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Stop characterizing what I said here.
Elizabeth Warren rips Boston. New HuffPost headline. Thanks so much for joining us, Senator.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Take care.
You're watching HuffPost Live. Somebody take it away.